So in case you don't realize, we're not in our vintage bus. We are in this big cavernous chamber with 7 slides.
Mm-hmm.
I can barely see across to the other side here.
Yeah, I know.
It's
a chasm.
RVGeeks and their monster rig.
All right.
The beast.
I just want to say good evening, Chris and Cherie of Technomadia. It's our first live stream since September, I think.
Yeah, we've been hiding, and so
we found you.
We decided to pull them out of hibernation.
That's right.
And yes,
I'm John.
And I'm Peter.
We're the RV Geeks.
you might show me your hands.
Yes.
Oh yeah, well,
hands.
his more than mine.
Yeah, they have the very famous hands of the very famous YouTube channel. Still the #1 RV related YouTube channel out there for at least another few days until
It's #1 in our book.
Yeah.
I don't know. We might be biased.
Whatever you do, subscribe to them. Don't subscribe to Nomadic Fanatic, and it will be good. And they will stay ahead.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Okay, so we're having some complaints about volume. Is volume okay? I'd have one report of volume not being loud enough.
We're all pretty loud in this room.
We're loud here.
He's going to project.
Oh,
Me.
danger!
Yeah.
You've got a wicked echo, it says.
Oh, really? Maybe we're talking too loud.
That could be our too cavernous space in this.
That's true. Actually, I think I do hear an echo coming from the back. Or is that the bowling alley in the back? We're hearing the pins fall.
We told them that they had to close down at 7:30.
Maybe if we try speaking less loudly, because maybe that's not needed.
That
So
could
I'm
be.
getting actually a lot of volume's great here. So,
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
so
Okay.
there is an echo, but we're getting volume okay.
Okay. Let's not over project. Just
Yeah.
keep it nice and balanced.
There we go.
Okay.
So unfortunately, we have to have it far enough away from the couch to get all 4 of us in. So anyway, we have no topic planned tonight. We just thought it'd be fun to get on camera and
Well, all 4 of us are together.
Yeah.
if you've never joined one of our live streams, if you want to ask a question of us, to the right of the video, is it over there?
Over there.
I think
over
it's
there.
over this
Yeah, it's
way.
over that way. Yeah, it's over
Oh,
this
is it
way,
over
right?
that way?
Yeah, it's
It'll
on Cherie's
be
side.
right over here.
Okay.
Yeah, right here. There's a little says chat with over 158 people, and that's where you can input a question, and I will see it on my screen, and we can answer it for you.
It's a lot of responsibility for you.
It
Yeah.
is. So I'll be handling the questions.
Cherie
Okay.
has to do all
Okay.
the hard work here. The
Yeah.
rest of us just get to
Yes.
sit.
Over on this end of the couch, it's all leisure.
We have to drink too.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
We'll
All
do
Yeah,
right.
so we should start off
Oh.
with a toast,
Okay.
because we always do a toast before Q&A, and we're skipping the presentation.
Oh, yeah,
tonight.
there's...
Yes, we are.
Remember?
Oh, eye contact.
Eye
I
contact.
can't...
Oh, eye contact.
It's eye contact or 7 years of bad sex.
Oh.
So, eye contact.
Here,
And
cheers.
cheers.
There we go.
Cheers.
Mm.
And actually, here's a toast to SpaceX. For
Oh.
if any of you did not see it, go watch the replay. SpaceX, for the first time ever, launched a rocket and had it turn around and come back and land where it took off.
It was incredible. It was like sci-fi.
It was the most amazing thing, 20 minutes I've ever seen on television. Blew any sporting event out of the water. The crowds are cheering. It was insane. It was amazing. And the rocket lands.
I imagine it was what it was like with the first moon landing, but I'm too young to remember that.
Exactly. I mean, this is
Peter,
maybe
was it
not
like that?
quite walking on the...
It was.
Oh.
It was more futuristic than The Force Awakens.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The Force Awakens also.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
I'll drink to
Oh,
that.
and guess what happens?
No. Spoiler alert.
No spoilers.
Okay. All right. So first question we have is from Ronald. He asks, what software do we use for our blogs?
Oh. WordPress.
WordPress.
Any other question about that?
Nothing
All
too
right,
exciting
done.
there. Yeah, right.
We hate it, but we love it.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is definitely a love-hate relationship.
We design websites as our day job, and we do not use WordPress for that. This is really just about our only WordPress site.
What do you design your websites in?
Rapid Weaver.
Rapid
Yeah,
Weaver.
We just do
Rapid
straight up HTML and CSS and use Rapid Weaver as the tool for that. That's much easier. WordPress is a bear.
You're getting a couple of great beards.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
It's about a month and a half's work here.
Yes.
So-
Wow.
Yes. All right. So Ward Smith asks, any question about RVing, full timing, technology on the road, spoiling cats, wine choices?
Anything.
America,
Whatever.
the future of the space program. We can
Yes.
talk about that too.
Sure.
We can make stuff up.
We're open.
Or The Force Awakens, because it was awesome.
Oh, in case
We
you don't
can't
know.
talk about that.
Peter and John have been on the road for 13 years.
Yes.
It'll be 13 years, April 11th.
Yes.
And it'll be 10 years for me, April 1st.
So we have a little bit of experience and we're happy to share it with you. That's why we decided. And we're all really good, dear friends. We met up in Vancouver over this summer after blog stalking each other for years.
It turns out that watching somebody on a blog, you don't really know the full experience of actually that whole interpersonal relationship.
Yes.
Yes.
And
They're
so
much better in person even. It's incredible.
it's incredible. So we had the opportunity to meet up in Vancouver during our summer adventures. And we spent a weekend together. And now we're down here in Southern California, hanging out in the warmth.
And if we were to open the blind behind us here, you could see Chris and Cherie's bus right out our window.
And we've been hanging out for the last couple weeks, and I think we've been together almost every single night, just laughing our butts off. So
Having a good time.
Which is why the four of us can now fit on this couch.
If you've watched Chris and Cherie, if you've been following Chris and Cherie and they seem like nice people, they are. So.
Aww. All right. So Ward Smith asks, are there any trends in boondocking that concern you, such as restrictions and fees?
Yes.
I think the one that concerns me most is there's so many more people hitting the road these days and aware of boondocking that the public lands are going to start to be overused.
Yeah.
And that could lead to more restrictions.
Right, absolutely.
Some of the popular spots are getting full. One of our favorite spots that we boondocked last year, Anza Borrego, actually got acquired by the state park. The boondocking area got acquired by the California State Park System, and so now it's got a much less area you can boondock. It's still free boondocking, but now there's a 2-week limit.
I know we get to some of our favorite locations year after year, and they're more trashed. People aren't picking up after themselves and leaving. They're not following the leave no trace, and that concerns me because the more trash that's left behind, the more the agencies are going to clamp down on the free camping.
And in a related type of camping, Walmarts are more and more pulling back.
Walmarts are pulling back. And seriously, whenever you camp any place, even if it's a commercial campground, pick up more trash than you leave behind. I mean, especially if you're out boondocking, there's nobody else who's going to do it there.
You're staying for free.
Yeah, but even if you're in a Walmart lot and there's trash outside blowing past your RV, pick it up and put it in the trash. Be a good neighbor wherever you are, especially if you're staying for free.
Yeah.
All right. So Nancy asked, they just purchased a 2005 Newmar Mountain Air Gas RV.
2005? That's what we are sitting in case you didn't know that. This is a 2005
Diesel.
Mountain Air.
All right.
Diesel.
So I'm guessing these questions are for you.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
What are your likes and dislikes on your Newmar, and what would you change about it if you were to buy a Newmar again?
Wow.
I really like the disco lighting on the ceiling.
Yes, we're not
Actually, we would ditch that. That would be the
ditch
first
that.
thing to go.
We have to say that we're asked this a great deal if we would, what our first choice would be in brand if we were to switch. And we always look at what's out there, and we have come around again and again and again to Newmar. We would buy another Newmar in a minute if we were to buy another RV today, as long as they had the floor plan that we wanted.
Yeah, I mean, this one has certainly treated us very well. We've had virtually no problems.
Well,
knock on wood.
virtually being
Or particle board.
there are always things to be repaired on any RV,
Yes.
but
And one thing, any RV owned by these guys gets obsessive preventative maintenance, so it's not quite fair.
It's super clean.
we got our chops busted big time when we pulled in here and immediately got outside with the misting detailer and
Yeah,
the
we
rags.
haven't even washed our bus when we pulled in.
We had to arrive clean.
Right.
That's
But-
why they
so-
have the top YouTube video for super cleaning your windshield, and we don't.
So congratulations on your new Newmar. I hope you have as good experience with it as we have.
What things would we change about?
I think that changes are, for us, they're more about floor plan and option choices. And because of the fact that we custom ordered this RV 10 years ago and we specifically checked exactly what we wanted on the options list, we really, I think, did a good job of picking our things that were important to us. There are probably not many things we would change.
Yeah, and I think any of the changes that we would make are not necessarily Newmar specific, but are more
Maybe newer things.
Industry specific.
Like newer blinds.
I mean, I would love to see more of an adoption of some of the sort of marine floor plans and more functional uses of space that could be done in smaller footprints. Those kinds of things that just don't seem to be catching on. Definitely see shorter RVs that are of this caliber that kind of thing.
I really wish the industry would make more small, super high quality RVs.
Yes,
absolutely.
And for the record, we would downsize if we were to get another RV. We would absolutely not get a 43-foot rig again.
No.
What would be your ideal size?
For us, well, we keep saying 35 to 38 feet tops.
Yeah.
That's what
And
we've come around to.
Preferably
With
on
slides, but
the
no.
with slides.
At least 2 slides, one in the living room and one in the bedroom will simply give you enough room in each part of the RV.
Yeah, I mean, we have 4 slides here, and this
We don't need it.
This floor space is wasted.
Okay. All right. John asked if there's any new deals on Verizon data. I wish.
There's the specials going on right now. You can get the 2 extra gigs a
Right.
month.
They do have a special. If you add a new line or upgrade a device, you can get 2 gigabytes of data per new line for 2 years. Or no, it's for life. That was for life.
Yeah.
And if
And
you
if-
have a West Coast address,
Yes, if you're a West Coast address, and they haven't defined what West Coast means, you can get 12 extra gigabytes of data for 2 years if you call. So those are the only 2 deals we know of going on right now.
yeah. And other than getting, jumping through the
unlimited
hoops, getting a
plans.
Verizon Unlimited plan, which is so worth it.
All right.
Oh,
All right. So another John asks, can you talk about the day you each left a stick and brick life?
Well, you're more recent.
Well,
You
no,
probably
let's
remember.
start at the first person.
the old people first. Is that the
We'll
rule?
work our way down. Yeah.
It's
Oldest to youngest.
So this is back when you had your Conestoga wagon setting off
yes.
on the Oregon Trail.
We hooked up the horses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
13 years ago.
It's almost 13 years. We hit the road maybe in a slightly different way than most people do, I think, and that is that we didn't plan to really full time. We planned to use full timing as a way to locate some place in North America that we wanted to resettle, and it became full timing because we liked it so much that we just never found a place we liked better than everywhere. And
It was certainly a difficult transition. I mean, it was a multi-phase process of going from sticks and bricks to being full-time. Just sort of all the mental stages of starting with piles. This definitely stays. This definitely goes. And then the mountain of we need to decide to whittle it all down. That was the hardest.
We basically gave away, sold, donated everything that we owned, and made a commitment to we are simply not coming back here to the part of the world we started in. We were on the East Coast, didn't care for that. But one thing different also.
Sorry.
We had never been in an RV before. We had no experience whatsoever, and we bought our first one sight unseen over the internet, and literally just threw all caution to the wind. I would advise people to
little planning.
plan a little bit better, both financially and in.
Yeah, but it
preparing.
worked out just fine for you.
Yeah, and
guys.
actually, I'm a big fan of throwing caution. There's so many people
which
who
was to your
overplan.
first day.
Yeah, right.
So many
Yeah,
people
so-
overplan. So I decided I wanted to hit something I always knew I wanted to do, and come end of 2005, I'm like, I need to do it. So I called up my actually I guess early 2006, called up my landlord and said, "Hi, I'm moving out. I'll be out on April 1st," and made that irrevocable. And then I was like, okay, got to figure this out. I need to get rid of all my stuff. Need to get a trailer. And I first started thinking I can get something that I can tow with a Prius, and then I quickly realized that was impossible. So I need to get a tow vehicle.
Really small.
And all in the span of like 2 months of crazy panic. And my first day on the road, actually the trailer wasn't ready. I bought a tab clamshell. They said it'd have it ready in a week, and it was like a month later, and it's still being repaired by the dealer. No, not ready, not ready, not ready. So I'm moving out of my apartment, throwing things into a storage unit, into the back of a Jeep. I traded my Prius for a Jeep, and throwing things, just piling it in. And that morning I just threw everything in, and I had no idea. I'm setting out driving. I had no idea where I was going to spend the night. I know there's going to be at least another few days until the trailer was ready. I'd never stayed in an RV like this before. I'd done an RV trip when I was a kid and pop-up campers. And so I was literally heading out into the unknown, and it was one of the most amazing days of my life. That April 1st was incredible, and the first week was
and
incredible.
isn't it funny how we remember the exact day? We're April 11th,
Yeah.
2003.
April
you're-
1st, 2006.
I'm May 10th, 2007.
Yeah.
I'm the newest
It's-
on the road.
Yeah.
You are.
So
Well,
your
we said
first
oldest
day.
to youngest.
Yeah, so he hit the road solo, and we met online in a Prius forum.
When I was
shortly
getting rid of my
thereafter.
Prius, saying farewell
we,
to it.
we
yes.
met in that process, and I was in Florida, he was in California, and I was already working from home, running a software development company, and we met and found love and quickly knew our lives were aligned, and he ended up coming to Florida, parking his trailer at my house for as long as the zoning allowed you to. We got a storage lot, and we decided that we did a couple trial runs. We did like a week out in some of the state parks nearby just to see how living in that super tiny space was going to be for us.
And she's like, I'll put my house for sale. Move in.
So I
And
put my-
super tiny, super tiny, by the way. This is a tab trailer.
Yeah, it was 45 square feet, no bathroom, no air conditioner, no refrigerator. Not that I'm counting.
That is
You guys are way
that is
braver
the
than we
definition
are.
of hardcore. We had a
No, it's a new
39-foot
relationship
rig.
energy.
Solar panel, mobile internet, wireless music. We had all the important
It was
stuff.
tricked out.
The iPhone, when we hit the road, the iPhone had not yet been invented.
Us either.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
It's been
right.
announced.
No,
Yes,
no,
it will.
no, because
Well,
I
when
actually
we
watched
ate
the
the-
announcement. Yeah,
At
I
my
watched
house.
the announcement
So
at your
anyway,
house.
it's my story. My story.
Oh, sorry.
Cherie's outnumbered here.
Sorry.
So we basically decided in, I think, early March that we set the date for May. And I spent those weeks getting everything ready to take my business on the road and join him and get my house up for sale. And we had this detailed list of getting through everything that needed to happen and modifications to the tab. Come May 10th in the morning, I'm ready to leave. And this one is still fiddling around. We didn't actually leave until almost sunset and had 4 hours to drive. Yes,
Yeah,
we did.
4 hours of daylight. Actually, we made it all the way to Miami, didn't we?
We did. We got
Yeah.
to Miami like at dark in May. So yeah, that was my first day on the road.
Yeah.
It was hurried and yeah.
By the way, I have to throw in, we had a slightly inauspicious start that we were parked for the night in our driveway of the house that we had just sold. And we literally slept in the RV in the driveway. And the morning of April 11th, we got up, the moving van showed up to deliver the new people's furniture. We could not pull out of the driveway because the slide on our bounder would not go in, and we were all outside pushing it in, and that was our beginning.
That was the perfect start.
Yeah.
Right, right.
All
But
right.
I think the most important thing, wouldn't trade it for the
No.
world.
No, just get out there.
I would do it all over again.
Whether your first day is good or bad, it'll be your
It'll
first
memory.
day.
It doesn't
It'll
matter.
be in the memory.
It'll make a funny story if it was a bad day.
That's
Yes.
right.
You'll be sitting one day doing your own live stream telling people about it.
That's right.
All right. Norm asks, what would the percentage be of parks with excessive water pressure? I'm going to let you guys do that because we don't pay attention. We just fill our
We-
tank and go.
Yeah, we have a
Yeah.
gauge. We have a gauge on ours, and I would say that is a rarity. The only ones I'd be really concerned about are the ones with the really large standpipes with the handles that swing up on them.
Yeah.
Those big 1-inch lines can have a great deal of pressure, but other than that, it's extremely rare.
And-
always use a water pressure regulator, no
Yeah.
matter what.
Or don't, like we do.
Well, no. It's-
Just okay. From our always use a water pressure regulator. Don't worry about it.
We've had a water pressure regulator at one point. It rusted through. We didn't replace
We'll give you
it.
another one.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
do it again.
Well, there is some nice caution to be had there because you don't want to blow up your pipes.
Yeah.
That's bad.
It's the
And
consequences.
I think a lot of that then depends on how are you planning on RVing. So when we're in an RV park, we're hooked up to city water. We're running off the city
And
water.
it's open.
We have it open all the
Yeah.
time. We
And-
want to keep that pressure down.
And we only ever fill our tanks and then turn off the shore water. And so we're always running off the pump, and we're only running the shore water just long enough to fill our tanks. Because that way, the downside of running on city water is if like a toilet ever jams open or something, all that water will keep flowing until your black tank is full, your gray tank is full, your bays are full, your living room is full, and the water just keeps rising and rising because it has nowhere to go. So we consider it a pretty important safety thing, and just it can go very badly wrong being on city water. So we never leave our rig
and
on
we're
city
the
water.
other side of that, which is we don't worry about it.
Yeah,
see,
We put a pressure
There's
regulator
no right
on.
answer.
But
Right,
again,
right.
that could be because we're coming from the perspective of having bought our RV new, and so
Right.
everything is newer. And although you guys have a lot of new plumbing in your RV now.
Our plumbing's all new now. But we did have mystery plumbing, but we did once have our toilet jammed. Just mysterious, just a little bit
Just
of toilet
enough,
paper got
right.
stuck in, just enough that we flooded
We
our
woke
bays
up to a
overnight.
flood overnight. Yeah.
But was that running off of your water pump? So it was.
It was off the water
It was
pump.
running off the
So,
water
yeah.
pump, but we had filled the fresh
But at
and
least
not drained the
it
dry.
limited
yeah.
it
Yes.
to 80 gallons or whatever at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
If we'd been on city
Right.
water, that would have gone all night, and it would have been 1,000 gallons.
Right.
Yeah.
Mobile pool.
Okay.
Yes.
Next question from Terry is, what is the latest and greatest in RV house batteries?
Whatever they have.
We have the old latest greatest They have the new latest greatest.
Well, our batteries are 4 years old now, over 4 years
4.5.
old. So we have, for those who don't know, we have lithium batteries in our RV. We built our own battery system. So technomadia.com/lithium. You could read all about them.
No promotion.
That's good.
Well, we're not
it's good.
selling
We're not
it.
selling. No,
I just don't want to answer questions
I'm
about
only
it.
kidding. I'm only kidding. So.
And lithium is on paper is every possible way a better battery for RVs. It's just the technology really hasn't gone mainstream yet. Even 4 years after we built our own, there's a couple places that will sell. You can either do it yourself and be out on the cutting edge and buy your own cells, or AM Solar or Starlight Solar will do installations and sell and support some lithium batteries. But other than that, the battery technology for RVs hasn't changed a lot. It's just still the same AGMs that you could buy 10 years ago.
Well, and just to clarify for anyone who isn't familiar with what AGMs are, most RVs, typical RV will come from the factory with a flooded lead acid battery.
Standard thing you're used to in your car.
A golf cart
same
battery.
basic batteries that go back 100 years.
Right,
Yeah.
and the next step up from that is what we went to about 5 years ago, which are AGMs, which stands for absorbed glass mat, and they are very superior in a lot of ways. The biggest being that they accept the charge more quickly than lead acid batteries, but also
And they don't outgas, so they can be stored in places that don't need
there-
exterior ventilation.
there's zero maintenance. We never bother with our batteries, and we like them a lot, but they're twice as expensive.
Yeah.
And well, lithium gets more expensive
Yes.
still, but has a lot of advantages. If you
Right.
go read the website, we've got
Yeah, just
some
go to
articles on that.
technomadia.com/lithium if you're interested in lithium batteries. Almost every question you can throw at us is covered there.
And those are really high-end, state-of-the-art. AGMs are just nice.
Yeah. All right. Next question is: I'm seriously considering converting a school bus.
Ooh.
What is your opinion on schoolies? We'll start down there.
They're cool. I've seen
I
some really cool.
I think they're cool, but having I'm not the one to answer this. I used to drive MCIs for a living. I'm biased, so I'm going to let that go.
Well, no, because that's a transit bus. Schoolies are not transit buses.
Well, I don't know enough about them. I rode in them as a kid. I don't know anything
Okay.
else.
Yeah.
So schoolies are cool. They have a really cool look. You can get them very inexpensively. They're going to be built really. Their frames are going to be solid because they're designed to protect children.
They also have a very bouncy ride, so you get the wheels on the bus bouncy song going too. They're not smooth, comfortable ride vehicles.
They're not going to have any bays for doing storage or doing your holding tanks in there.
I hadn't even thought of that.
So they are difficult to convert, but there's some really cool conversions that people do with them. They do have a stigma, though. However, a lot of private campgrounds will not allow them at all.
Some private campgrounds.
Some of them.
But the catch with schoolies is there's a lot of people who do the schoolie thing as the cheapest possible way to hit the road in something with wheels, and they throw like a futon in the back, and they earn the stigma there. And then there's other people who do schoolies and they do really, really awesome conversions with beautiful handcrafted work, and they just consider this as a great foundation to build on top of. And the schoolie community goes from one extreme to the other. It's a really great community. We've only kind of dabbled in it because the ours is an inner city bus conversion, so they don't quite cross with the
The
schoolies,
caste
but
system.
not so much a caste system.
They are
It's just
different.
because
They
they
are
have
different.
different challenges converting them. As Cherie said, the schoolies don't have bays to
Right.
start with. So
you have big luggage bays down below
Right,
that
which
I
is
keep watching out the window, spying on.
Drooling over
drooling.
it. Yeah, I have to clean the inside of the window all the
and
time.
for a conversion, that kind of having a city bus, inner city bus like that with luggage bays means you have a place to put tanks and plumbing and pipes and everything. Whereas a schoolie, you're starting from scratch, and most schoolies have fairly low roofs as well. So you might be starting with a roof raise, or
And probably not insulated in
But
any way,
check
shape,
it-
or form.
check
depends
into-
on them. Yeah.
Check into schoolies.net. There's a wonderful community. See what challenges people have with different models.
And there's some really awesome
There
ones
really
that
are some awesome
put
ones
together.
out there. Just know that it is a little tougher to full time in them. Getting full timers full coverage on them for insurance can be a little more challenging. You'll encounter some stigma in some higher end RV resorts, which we don't stay there anyway,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I don't really care.
There are
but-
no restrictions on boondocking, so.
Right. If you're staying in public parks, state campground, state parks, national parks, and things like that, you won't have an issue there at all.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking you might want to retain the option of going into RV resorts or places that might have restrictions, you may encounter problems with
And
schoolies.
as far as boondocking goes, schoolies tend to have really great ground clearance a lot of times because they're going over kind of
Children.
they're rolling over children. No, but they have really great ground clearance, so they can get into a lot of places that other RVs really can't. And there's actually a couple models. You'll find these when you research schoolies that have actual 4x4 or like 4 drive axles, 2 drive axles in the back with 4 drive wheels, which is really awesome. And some people have done some awesome schoolie conversions based on that chassis.
Cool.
Okay, so this one wasn't really phrased as a question. We'll see if we can make something out of it.
Ooh, challenge.
Mark says they're planning on buying a Newmar Dutch Star in 2016, but they seem to be having problems with overloaded front axle. We're absolute noobs and having a hard time understanding the issues.
Stand in the back.
Yeah. No.
While underway.
Unfortunately, I think that it's the 43-foot Newmars, Dutch Stars in particular, that are having that issue. And it's sort of just that engineering versus marketing of adding in full wall slide, residential refrigerator, tons of batteries, full tile floors, and hardwood cabinetry that is leading to an issue of literally out the door with nothing on board. The front axle is at max capacity. So yeah, Newmar unfortunately has an issue in front of them to deal with in regard to this, and I'm not sure which path they're going to take. I know they've been working with Freightliner to try and see if there's a way that they can retrofit a fix for these people. You really, really have to look at the specs on the coach itself, and if you are seriously buying one either from a dealer or from get it weighed in advance and make sure that you know what that capacity of that front axle is, because when you're loading up your bays, the primary section where you're adding all the weight is right in between the 2 axles. So a great proportion of that weight is being added onto the front when you load it up.
You can carry as marshmallows.
Right. Yeah.
Now
exactly.
we're 43 feet long with a 14,600 pound front axle, and we do not have that problem. But we very specifically put our heavier storage further to the back toward the drive axle, specifically to keep weight off the front. And it's good that you're aware of that. It's a very serious issue. You want to make sure that you get weighed with full fuel, full fresh water, the weight of a driver and passenger in the front, and fully loaded to really get an idea of exactly how much the front of that coach weighs. And like John said, you want to be absolutely certain that you know what your limits are on your axle. Look it up, find out from either Spartan or Freightliner what is your axle rating. It's made by Rayco Granning, makes these, and you need to find out what your maximum rating is on your front axle.
But there's a couple of good threads on I think it's on IRV2 that are owners who have purchased them and who are dealing with Newmar and Freightliner to try and get resolution. So just keep reading, because it's going to continue to evolve.
Okay, we have another question for the RV Geeks from James. Do you find it hard to boondock or camp in national parks due to the size of your RV?
Sometimes.
National parks.
Yeah.
I'll try and make this.
Boondocking, not usually.
Boondocking is not usually an issue. Of course, there are places where you can boondock there are tight spaces, but we had a 39-foot bounder diesel with no tag axle, and I will tell you, the biggest mistake we made looking back is to upsize rather than stay the same or go smaller. We had been on the road for 2 years, and we had gone through about 46 or 47 states by then, and our attitude was, we've gone through all the national parks, and now we'll do something else. And now we cannot get a space in Yosemite, and when we go to Yosemite, we have to stay outside the park and drive in. I would highly recommend to anyone, and we're asked this question constantly when people see the size of our rig, I would highly encourage everyone to buy the smallest rig that you think you can be comfortable in, and no bigger. And
But don't go 16 feet.
yeah.
It's a little too small.
The smallest that has an enclosed bathroom and
There
kitchen
you
facilities.
go.
Yeah.
We do have limitations, and as you may have seen if you've seen our recent videos, that I used to be a driving instructor for motor coach operators, and I can drive a bus just about as well as anybody reasonably could, but I cannot defy the laws of physics, and I cannot put a 43-foot motorhome into a 28-foot space. And that is something to consider, and
It is limiting.
you should go smaller. If we buy another RV, it will be smaller than this one by a good margin.
Okay. Maxwell asks, what about Metro PCS? Well, so Metro PCS is T-Mobile's prepaid brand. So they are on the T-Mobile network. So be sure to look at their coverage to see if that will match with your travels, because T-Mobile is rapidly expanding, but they are not as robust as AT&T and Verizon. So, look at that. But, you can get some good deals on them. They have many of the same restrictions. You don't get the unlimited video streaming like T-Mobile is offering these days.
There's not really... Because Metro PCS and T-Mobile are so overlapped, there's really not a lot of good reasons to go with Metro PCS.
Slightly cheaper plans, but you also get less benefits, and you only get deprioritized on their network instead of going straight with T-Mobile. So if you're full-time RVing and you're going to be depending on T-Mobile, which you're already going to have a reduced footprint, I would recommend going direct with T-Mobile.
Binge on.
Binge on is, for those who've missed this, Binge on T-Mobile has unlimited video streaming from a lot of services. It is a killer feature for RVers.
Hulu and Netflix particularly.
And if you want more information on the 4 major carriers, on RV Mobile Internet, which is the site that we run about mobile internet, we do have an article that we just recently updated and a video on the 4 carriers, comparing them head to head, to give you information on when they make a good sense for what type of RVing. Okay, Joe asks, I'm leaving for Florida in early January. Are there any rallies that someone could join to be part of a group? I'm sure there are several.
Yeah.
Well, there's so many things out there between Good Sam and Our Village and Escapees and Family Motor Coach Association.
Gotta be something
I would check
going on.
all of those websites to look to see what's happening.
Winter is a hot time for rallies. From small to large, get involved with the groups that you feel called to.
Go
to Our Village.
Who is the manufacturer of your RV? Or what? Like there's one of the big bus rallies every year is in Arcadia, Florida.
I don't know where you're starting out from. You just said you're going to Florida, but get involved in the groups that interest you. If FMCA interests you, if you're an Airstreamer, get involved with the Airstream group. If you've got a Fleetwood, get involved with the Fleetwood group. If you're an escaper, get involved with the escapers. If you're an escapee, get involved with get involved with the special interest groups and then find what they're doing.
And there's a lot of informal rallies that happen too. Once you start connecting with people, even just on Instagram or Our Village and stuff, you find out, there's a group of people that have open invite. They're gathering at this place at this time, and come hang out and meet some cool people, which is a great part of this community.
Yeah, I think you'll find there's more options than you can deal with at any one point in time.
You'll end up bumping into anybody. You got to be careful.
Absolutely. Get on Our Village. It's the best way to meet people. And I'm not just saying that because Curtis is watching. Hi, Curtis. We love you.
Hi, Curtis. Curtis, we're heading your way in February.
I told him about your spot.
It's one place where we can fit this RV.
You could definitely fit this RV. We could fit everybody.
All right.
We'll be there in January then.
Okay. June asks, what is the best way to boost cell phone reception, not data? It's same way, cell booster.
Yeah. And actually, if your only concern is voice calls, it's a lot easier because
all the boosters support the voice channels.
Frequencies, and a voice call doesn't need a lot of bandwidth, doesn't need a lot of great signal to get a voice call through.
You just need a little strength of the signal, and you can even, if you just want to boost one cell phone at a time, you can just go something as simple as the little cradle booster, the 4GS.
Yep.
Or if you want to boost multiple phones at once, then go with something like the 4GM. Yep, and on RV Mobile Internet, we have an article comparing the different cell boosters. So just go to the Resource Center. You can find a lot of content there on Mobile Internet.
It's been much anticipated and extremely valuable.
And just to give Chris and Cherie a little plug, Mobile Internet Aficionados is the place to go to really learn about
RV
this.
Mobile Internet,
Right. At RV Mobile Internet.
You can join our membership site.
We have a lot of free content on the site. I don't want to
You don't have to join.
You don't have to join.
You can join.
It's so worth it.
Oh yeah, don't forget to use the discount code.
MIA Geeks. You can save $5.
Save $5. We get nothing for it except.
We'll give them a bottle of wine.
But no, on RV Mobile Internet, we have a lot of free content. There's an overview article that explains the basic of mobile internet and keeping connected. We have a lot of free content. We track the news for free. We try to give away a lot of free, and we couldn't do it without our members supporting us. And because they support us, they get a lot of extra content. Yeah. That's the way we choose to roll with that, is give away as much as free that we can afford to, and treat our members special. That's the way we do things.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of transitioning.
Okay.
That's a loaded.
We're talking about the RV lifestyle still, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Don asks, how did you transition to remote working?
We ran out of money.
Well,
why don't you guys go first?
Okay, yeah, you guys ran out of money. They've started out retired.
Yeah,
we didn't work for the first 4 years on the road living off savings.
We called those the good old days.
We did not plan to work on the road at all.
Yeah, it was a lot more fun. But yeah, we had a spreadsheet that was watching our savings dwindle, and it was calculating out how much longer we could stay on the road. And as that number got closer to today, it forced our hand.
So how did we?
We sat down and started brainstorming what could we do that would be mobile. You know, neither of our legal. Yes. Okay. Neither of our previous jobs were particularly mobile, or I mean, we could have possibly.
Driving a bus is pretty mobile.
Well,
but he was busy.
True, but it's centered around one spot.
And he was busy driving our bus at the time, so he was couldn't be employed that way. So we sort of brainstormed what skills we had. Peter's a photographer and really good with writing. I have more of a tech background, and while I hadn't actually coded, I had managed plenty of people who did code, and it didn't look that hard. So we just started brainstorming, figured, well, what could we do that related to RVing that would fit in with our travels, and just sort of landed on the idea of building websites for RV parks. Being RVers, we hated the websites that RV parks had. They never had the information we particularly cared about, and so figured this was just sort of a natural niche, and just started doing it. We built a test site and found some first customers and suckered them into hiring us, and the rest was history.
They're still customers, by the way, so
they
couldn't
yes.
have
They do fabulous. If you go look at any of their sites that they've done, they do fabulous. Well, I mean, the type of RV site you want when you're going looking at a park.
Well,
and
thank
then,
you.
And then you also transitioned into, you created for your friends.
Well,
yeah.
Right.
And
if
YouTube fame and glory.
Right, and I'm going to give a little shout out to Bill and Mark with their Newmar Country Star, which we took friends RVing with us who were very interested in checking out what it was about. They fell in love with it. Of course, we took them to national parks, which is a good start. They bought their own RV and had questions for us, and we started making videos to show them how to operate their RV, how to flush the tanks and sanitize things, and all the things that are needed. And it kind of became something we hadn't intended, which is another source of livelihood for us, creating YouTube videos.
Which is much more fun.
So basically, what John was saying, take inventory of your skills and
what you enjoy.
Yeah, right.
That's the most
That's a
important
good
part.
point. Are you a good writer, photographer? What do you make videos? Are there things you're interested in learning, and use those skills to try to support yourself? And don't forget that one of the biggest things about supporting yourself on the road, at least as far as we're concerned, is keeping costs down. Mm-hmm. Our costs on the road are a third or a quarter of what they were living in a sticks and bricks house, and that has allowed us a great deal of freedom to work the way we do.
Absolutely.
We need to earn much less than we used to.
Well, and what about you guys?
Yeah, how did you transition? He got laid off from his job.
I very carefully avoided all the job offers because I did not want to go work in a cubicle again. And I had plenty of consulting opportunities, and I took a few of them, and then met Cherie, and we started kind of building our business together.
Yeah. Other words,
you had
you reached off my business.
Yeah, right.
I was when I met Chris, I was running a software business at home, so I was already working from home. I was already doing a lot of personal travel and working remotely. So I'd go visit a friend in a different state, stay there for a week or two, and work remotely during the day. And then, when they got home from work, then we would go out and explore, meet up with other friends and stuff like that. So I was already used to doing remote work. And for me, the biggest transition was dealing with mobile internet and making sure I had connectivity, because I was dealing with software clients that required me by contract to be on call Monday to Friday from 8 to 5. And if we weren't in connectivity, well, then I was a government contract. It was going to be a big trouble. That was a business I ran with my father, and in 2013 when he passed away, we made a decision in our lives that we didn't want those sorts of commitments to time, so we allowed our clients and found them new homes. And I did a lot we fired them. I did a lot of hospital consulting and clinical medical management and budget resource management for hospitals, so I did pretty high-end stuff. And we just decided we wanted less stress in our lives. And while that was certainly doable on the road, the schedules and having to be in connectivity was too much.
We'd rather have our own schedule.
So we wanted to go on sabbatical for a year. And then this guy named Curtis found us.
Hello again, Curtis.
That name is familiar.
And and then we got into, he wanted us involved with helping him with Our Village, which is that social network for RVers, and helping him kind of define what that would be. And we got into advising. We created a couple mobile apps. And then, because so many people ask us questions about how to keep connected, is we started RV Mobile Internet. And most of our income these days comes from the apps and from RV Mobile Internet and our book.
Yeah.
And a little bit of...
And we're not working for anybody else anymore.
And so, we've gotten away from the scheduled commitments, and that's been our quality of life transition.
And I think, I'm sorry, I think if you are able to save up enough of a nest egg before you take the leap and prepare yourself, the keeping your costs down as you transition onto the road, and having some sort of a foothold in a mobile,
no. Keeping your costs down is so key, and this lifestyle makes it so easy to do.
It's so easy to live inexpensively this way. It's ridiculous.
You guys are really transparent. You've got a lot of information out there on your site about the actual costs of your living, which, if you take a look at that, it could give you an idea of, what numbers you're really looking at. But I think one of the key things that I've noticed just in sort of talking with all of the other full-time RVers who are young and still making a living on the road, I think a lot of us are doing the same thing, which is it's often not just a single source of income.
Right. So multiple sources.
We have a lot of little sources of income that.
So it's like YouTube's monetization algorithms go differently, which is funding. You're getting some. Our YouTube channel plays a little too. If that goes away, well. Okay, it might hurt. It's less sushi out this week, It's like we eat more rice and beans, less sushi.
Right. But it gives you that flexibility, and it also, I think, is just sort of, for us, it was definitely a mindset shift that we were used to having that, 9 to 5, one job that paid all the bills. And, being on the road now, it's definitely more of a hodgepodge of little things that add up to cover all of your costs.
Yep.
Right.
Alrighty. Let's see. Jay is glad to have us back and asks, what would we do differently with our channel or blog if we had it to do over again? And I'm going to let you guys answer that too.
You go first.
You got to go first.
You got to go first on this one.
Okay.
You have to remember, Technomadia started as a way to keep his mom from calling us every night to make sure we're still alive.
Partially, yeah.
I did not know that.
We were both bloggers when we met. We had LiveJournal blogs.
But they weren't for a big, broad audience. They were basically
personal. They were personal
keeping
blogs.
friends in touch.
And Technomadia was just the place we set up a way to integrate both of our blog posts into one place, and that's where Technomadia went. He was inspired. His friend Steve Roberts is the guy who invented the word technomad, technology-enabled nomad. And
go check out Steve's website, microship.com.
Awesome guy.
Microship.
And that was his inspiration. So we came up with Technomadia in homage to him, and we consider Technomadia kind of like our family name. It's and it was our personal place to share. And we would share about this hike we did or this trip we did, and someone asked, "Well, how'd you get your mail?"
Tutorials and stuff.
It's like, well, I'm tired of answering this question, so we'd write a thing about that, and pretty soon we knew we had more friends. And
I'm not sure what necessarily we would do different, other than maybe we avoid overextending ourselves, because that's the biggest thing. Is you get so wrapped up into kind of living up to the expectations and demands and the pressure of your own blog that it can devour you, and you have more energy expended than you're getting out of it, and that's a very careful thing.
Well, you made a great point before about doing something you enjoy. And we have had kind of the last year or two since our YouTube channel helped augment our income, things have been good for us in not having the pressures of having to take work that we don't want to do. Like we used to take non-RV park website work where we would design websites for other types of businesses. We don't do that anymore. We shut down that part of our business because the quality of life of earning enough to get by is really important to allow you not to be under the pressure to do things you don't want to do. And keep a lot of people see our, people joke about our palace of a motorhome. Well, we always joke that, the only thing bigger than our motorhome is the mortgage on it. And
if we could get rid of that mortgage, we could work a lot less.
It's another reason we would get a smaller motorhome, because we will never be out from under the mortgage, but we don't regret that. It's just a fact of life. It's our largest single expense. But when we talk about the ease and the importance of keeping your expenses down, that's a quality of life issue that allows you to not work more than you want to and not do work that you don't want to do.
All right. Don asks, Peter and John, saw your video on the Hughes Auto Former. Do you use it still in every site? And have you ever hardwired, and do you use it in conjunction with an EMS type surge projector?
We use it every
Everywhere.
single site we go to, so much so that we have we can't easily use our electric cord reel when it's plugged in inside the compartment there. We don't care. We just pull out our extension cord because it's that valuable.
We probably should go to the next step, like you asked about, actually hardwiring it in place instead of using it the way we are, because we prefer to leave it in the compartment than to leave it outside chained to something.
The trouble is our compartment is not large enough to easily do that.
Yeah.
And although we do use it in conjunction with a surge protector, the only reason we do that is because the surge protector was hardwired inline first and we can't take it out easily.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of discussion about whether you should have a surge protector before the EMS, before the autoformer, or the autoformer before a surge protector, and it's...
You might want to just explain real quickly why.
So it's sort of 6 to 1, half it does the other. If you put the autoformer before the surge protector, the autoformer ensures that the surge protector then won't shut your power down if the voltage drops too low or gets too high, because it's helping to manage that. The downside to that is then you are not protecting the autoformer if there was a surge, that the surge protector could have protected the autoformer.
Right.
If you flip-flop it and you put the surge protector first in line and then the autoformer...
I'm sorry, we have the first way.
We have it the first way, so our autoformer comes first.
And then the surge protector.
If you flip-flop that, then you get the protection of the autoformer, but the problem is most of the surge protectors are monitoring high and low voltages and will cut the power off completely, and therefore you lose some of the benefit of the autoformer.
Well, you lose the main benefit. The main benefit of the autoformer is if you've got really low power, it will basically swap volts for amps, and it will allow you to function at a higher voltage level. If you put the surge protector first, and the surge protector says, oh, wait a minute, there's 102 here, I'm going to cut the power, now your autoformer can't boost it because it doesn't get any power.
Right, so there are benefits to it. Obviously, the autoformer is an expensive piece of equipment, and it's cheaper to replace your surge protector than the autoformer, so...
So why not have 2 surge protectors?
It's still, and by the way, you actually don't need a surge protector. The autoformer has one built in.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not
as robust.
It's not quite as robust, but we would not be without the autoformer. There are so many places we go in, old parks, like an old county park or an old state park, where there is really poor 30 amp service, and we do fine.
Yeah,
we do fine.
It really does help.
The Hughes unit really works.
Yeah, and the way we kind of deal is, it's on a future upgrade list, is perhaps adding an autoformer, but we actually can set our inverter saying, even if we're plugged into 30 amp, if the voltage is bad, we'll just say don't use more than 10 amps or 15 amps from this power so that we won't have any voltage sag issues.
And the rest will come from your battery.
We boost from our battery.
A hybrid inverter.
Yes.
Right.
And again, they are more techno than we are.
Exactly. It's in their name.
Right. They have an old bus, but don't let that fool you.
All right, JTS. Any advice for making good friends while full-timing?
How
about advice for dating?
Sorry. Did you say advice for dating?
Dating.
Wow, I can't speak to that. We've been together 20 years. I have no idea about dating.
I met her on the road.
So, so we can answer that one. I feel the pull of full-time RVing, but also want to make meaningful connections while full-timing. And I'm just going to start with community was my hardest thing on the road when I first hit the road. I was in a robust community when I lived in Florida, lots of friends, close friends there, and leaving that continuity of friendship was really tough. And it took us a couple years to start to you have to kind of rethink relationships on the road.
Yeah, you start to connect with people that you might not see them every day, but you might see them a couple times a year, and when you get together, you might be in different states each time, and you really
deep in a tent. So we last saw these guys in July.
And it was Vancouver.
We rented an apartment together for a couple days in downtown Vancouver.
So one of the things you learn is you suss people out really quickly. We knew pretty much within an hour of meeting that we were going to be good friends.
Yes.
That we were each other's people.
Yeah.
And then you just have to be bold enough to recognize those connections and maybe even poke the other person and say, hey, you want to rent an apartment together?
That was your idea, wasn't it?
It was, totally.
It was.
Totally.
And some of it depends on your personality. Now, John and I are definitely more introverted and cocoon. You know, this honestly, and we told Chris and Cherie this the other day. So we've been parked side by side for what, about 10 days now?
Yeah, about that.
And this is already 1 full week longer than the longest we have ever parked next to another friend in an RV.
Aww.
And it's not that we are not antisocial, but we are, you know, we hit the road so that the two of us could spend our time together, and we're homebodies who spend a lot of time here. But figure yourself out, and if you know yourself and know that you want to meet, there are so many resources now, like our village and Escapers, to meet other people of like mind, like values, and maybe to meet a future mate if that's what you're looking for.
We talked to a lot of people, solo people, who want to wait until they meet somebody before they hit the road, and I advise against that, because it's really, you're going to meet your like-minded people when you're doing the things that inspire who you are.
Right. I did not expect to find somebody on the road. I'm living in a 16-foot trailer. I thought the one thing I thought the one thing I was putting off in my life was having any sort of serious romantic relationships when I hit the road, and sooner than I wanted or even would have liked, I ended up with one.
I wasn't looking for a relationship at all.
Don't take that the wrong way.
No, it was wonderful. It's just like, this was connecting, and having these connections just happen. Once you're putting out, like, I'm living my life this way, you draw in people who are drawn to that and who click with you. And it's like, oh, this is great. If I'd waited to hit the road with my soulmate, I would never have found my soulmate. So
we would have never crossed paths.
And some people have tremendously large circles of friends out here on the road, and we know many people who do. We have, over nearly 13 years on the road, we have accumulated, I think, exactly four other couples that we consider, other RVers that we consider to be intimate, dear friends, two of whom we're sitting next to. And those are very special to us because we work well in small groups as opposed to large groups. But again, you know what works for yourself.
Well, and I think now it's probably the best time to be doing what you're doing.
It is so
it's great.
It is so much easier today. If you want to be social and meet people, there are so many resources. Get on Instagram and follow the hashtag full-time RVing and all the other RVing ones. You'll meet so many people there. Get in the Facebook groups for RVing. Get on our village. Join Escapees or Escapers, whatever your age demographic leans towards. Go to their meetups and rallies. Stay in the know of what's going on and meet people.
Within your first 6 months, if you're putting a little effort into meeting people, you will have then more invitations.
You will have more friends that you know what to do with.
Which then actually becomes a whole other problem of how to get rid of them.
Right. Sometimes they move in.
Even without all of that, I think just in general, RVers are a very social group. They're, you know, if you pull into an RV park and you're outside, you are going to meet everybody who's walking by and everybody who's next door. I mean, people are very sociable when they're in an RV environment.
If you're a younger RVer or a younger working age RVer, there are more resources than ever between Escapers and our village and things like that.
It's almost overwhelming.
Yeah.
Okay. We've had a couple questions about Zephyr and how the renovations have been and progressing. Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm not really ready to go into a full-scale rundown of everything.
We've been through a lot of the stuff, and we're probably going to do some videos on individual projects, but overall, Zephyr is great.
The only lingering problem is the precision tip hydronic is burning more propane than we'd like, and we've just been too busy to diagnose it.
We're hunting that down, but overall, like, you know, just even the little things like having keyless entry on the door every day that makes us happy.
The MCD shades,
we're jealous.
The video projector
they show off more high-tech stuff on that damn old bus.
The video projector, you know, being able to curl up and watch, you know, having a big screen projection system in our living room now every single day. That's something we enjoy.
But yeah, we're enjoying not being focused on bus projects right now and getting back to some life. So
I was going to install their new lights tomorrow.
Okay.
I guess maybe I'll skip that.
No, we'll see. But as far as we're not focusing so much on the past stuff and trying to focus on catching up in other areas of life right now.
You want to install our new faucet tomorrow for us?
No, we hired people to install ours.
That'll be our upcoming project, new faucet.
No, I did the faucet. Wayne helped. He did the sink. I did more of the faucet.
Okay. All right. So
I did the bathroom myself.
Martha asked, "Do you ever stay at Pilot or Flying J overnight?"
We've never actually stayed overnight.
No, and so Flying J and Pilots, they are truck stops, and then some of them have dedicated RV parking, and if they do, that's fine. A lot of them are intended for truck drivers. And you
No.
need to keep in mind that truck drivers have very limited places where they can stop and pull over and get their required sleep.
And they're working for a living.
And they're working
Yeah.
for a living. SRVers, we have lots more options. And if you're taking up a truck spot, you might be denying someone, a truck
Right.
driver, the opportunity to get the required sleep.
I think we might have stayed in a Flying J or a Pilot maybe once.
And that was because of weather.
And it was because
Yeah.
we were stopped by weather. We ran into an ice storm. We had to stop.
There are definitely
There
situations
are
where
circumstances, but Cherie made the real point there that the only time I would consider doing that is if you absolutely had to stop and you got there and it was already late and there was tons of extra open spaces
or there's a
for
dedicated RV
truckers
area.
or a dedicated RV.
Right. And the big thing with if you're parking amidst the trucks is trucks have like the refrigerator units. They're running all night. They might have their cab generators going, and it's a loud
And it's
loud
not
place.
quiet.
It's
And
not
what-
rest,ful. You're not going to be able to put slides out if you live in a ring
Oh,
with
whatever you
slides
do,
and-
do not
no.
ever put a slide out in a truck stop parking lot.
No.
They park really tight to each other, and some of the truckers, they get in, they're coming off a long driving shift, and they're
They're not
really
used
good.
to dealing with you.
They're
we
not.
basic-
They see the slides, and sometimes they get a little cranky that the RVers are taking up their
think,
spots.
I think we're all saying we advise that truck stops are a bad place for RVers in general, unless you really need to go and there's extra
And there's
room for you.
there's so many other places that are RV appropriate. We've never needed to. I mean, I'd rather stay at a Walmart and get my grocery shopping done and pick
Or
up a red box.
casinos.
Oh
Find
yeah,
some-
casinos and Walmarts are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, find other options
Other options.
unless
Oh.
they're dedicated RV spots.
OvernightRVParking.com is a real
Yes.
good place to go to find.
Great
Yeah,
RV
so-
spots.
yeah.
The All Stays app has a lot of the
Right.
overnight
Yeah.
stops
Right.
listed as well.
Lots of resources.
Okay, we have one more up here. Tracy, is there any way I could get your checklist of things to do in order to become a full-time RVer? Okay,
Oh, that's a very open-ended one.
so everyone's path to becoming a full-timer is so completely different. The checklist to becoming a full-time RVer is get an RV, check, full-time, check. That's about the only similarity you can make. I don't think anyone can give you
Isn't
a
it
full
amazing?
checklist.
Gesundheit.
Gesundheit.
Are you done? Okay. We do have a series on the Technomadia blog. It's /excuses, and it goes over 15 of the common logistical things that people put up as excuses, like, oh, I can't earn an income, I don't know how to get my mail, I don't know health insurance and things like that. It has a lot of the logistical things that you can go over, but really it comes down to you have to figure out what you need in your life.
And what is your
Right.
motivation? What gets you
Right.
moving?
Right.
For me, it was setting a deadline and then having to panic to meet it. So I'm like, I'm going to be homeless April 1st. I got to figure it all out. And having that fire under me is what got me out the road and living full time.
And a lot of it for us was deciding that there were more important things in life than going to 9-to-5 jobs, even if it meant sacrificing a lot of income.
Right.
It was more important to have quality of life. So if you make
Absolutely.
that decision and realize how short life is,
That's 99% of the battle.
maybe that is 99% of the battle.
All right, so we're already an hour into this chat. The
having
questions
fun?
I'm fielding are now 40 minutes old.
Oh,
Oh man,
So
we have a lot
it's
of
gonna
How many
take.
people
It's
do
gonna,
we have?
we've got over 200. I'm gonna
Oh.
say no more questions. If you have questions that you want to ask, I'm gonna say
I'm
we're
so
not gonna get
sorry.
around
We're
to
going to
them.
try to catch up. Okay.
We're
I'll
probably
open
going.
another bottle of wine if you want to hang for a while longer.
Let me get some more.
Refill time.
So I'm gonna say no more questions. If you go ahead and stop them, because we're probably going to have to wrap up here in the next 15 or 20 minutes anyway. We'll try to get through as many of these as we can.
I'm gonna block the camera here to pour wine.
It's an important thing. All right, Trish says, what are the most important safety things to study about and learn first? I'd say things about the RV safety. Make sure you're up on your preventative maintenance. Tires are safe. Make sure they're within
Properly
the
inflated.
proper age inflation.
Pedal on the left is the stop pedal.
Yeah.
That one's important to know.
Yeah. I'd say stuff about the mechanical safety of the rig.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
'cause that's
I
probably
would
going to
say if you buy something that's fairly large, especially if you buy something with a bend in it, like a fifth wheel or a travel trailer, take the time to learn to drive it. Don't just go out on the road, even if a special license isn't required. Take the time to learn. Seek out a course where you can go and learn something.
Go find a
about
big empty lot and practice your turns, your
Right,
backing.
right.
Know
What?
what your tail swing is.
it.
right.
Go to the RVGeeks.com and check out our video about off tracking and rear overhang. And don't do that.
they are putting together some amazing videos
Yes.
on driving safety.
Slowly.
And
Right.
Yeah, the first one is out, and it is like so off the charts. The best thing that's ever been done.
I'll throw in that little plug for us, the RVGeeks.com. And as I mentioned, former professional instructor, we're going to be putting that to more and more use, and we have some in the works, and I apologize, it's taking a little time, but they're very difficult to shoot. We want to make them good.
These aren't just amateur hour stuff. They've got the drone overhead looking straight down.
Yeah, they're
on
not
the
our
bridge,
style
going around
videos. They
corners.
show-
There won't be a drone in the next one, but it's still tricky.
Fine.
Okay. Have you ever been to Canada?
Yes. In case anyone didn't know, John and I emigrated to Canada 8 years ago, so we are Canadian permanent residents, so that would be a big yes.
Yes.
Chris-
Love it up there.
Chris and I have not RV'd in Canada. We have been to. We met them in Canada. It is a future thing, but it just hasn't. Mobile internet was a problem up there. Now with T-Mobile having
A
mobile
lot
without borders,
easier, yeah.
it's a lot easier. So we might tackle it here at some point.
We'll just recommend if you're going to go to Canada for the first time and you're on the East Coast, you cannot find a more spectacular, wonderful place to go than Cape Breton Island in northern Nova Scotia, where we spent a summer. And we spend our summers in BC, and the people are fantastic, and everything's
Come on up.
beautiful.
Or go
Okay.
on up.
In the summer, not in the winter.
All right. Can you talk about full-time insurance? And I'm assuming
We can't because we're in Canada. It won't do
Well.
you any good.
All right,
can.
so if you're going full time, the insurance policy that you want to obtain, you want to specify that it's for full timers, and that's more like a renter's policy. It's going to cover liability, so if someone gets injured in your RV visiting you, it covers that sort of liability. It also covers more personal effects than a regular, just like a recreational RVing policy might cover. So make sure you're working with an agent who knows full-timers insurance, and you're getting a quote for full-timers, not just for a regular RVing policy. And because you don't own a home, you don't have a lot of the coverages that you might have that extend. So make sure you're working with an agent who understands your needs and shop wisely.
What was the name of that agent that we
Doesn't
know?
matter.
There's several of them.
Yeah.
Just make sure
Okay.
they're full-timers aware.
Yeah, and basically the same thing applies in Canada.
Yep.
Right.
How do you handle parks that say they will not accept motorhomes that are more than 10 years old? We don't
We're-
go to them.
We're about to find out.
Yours looks brand new. A lot of them, they just say they reserve the right to
Yeah.
exclude you. And if you look ours, because especially with as restored as ours is,
Ours has gone so far old, it's new again.
so we get exempt because we're classic and restored, and most of them
Right.
usually have no problem, especially if we send them a photo.
Yeah.
Theirs looks like
Ours-
it's 2 years old. They'll never have a problem.
Right.
Right.
So,
it's really it's just
if-
protecting them from having junkers drive in.
A lot of RVs now that are approaching 10 years old, it's kind of when they're if they're still on the road at 10 years, they're usually in good shape. If yours looks like a 20-year-old RV, you might have problems. And just stick to
But-
public parks.
yeah.
There's so many other options that don't have the
The
restrictions.
kind of if you're the person who's kind of got a cheap old beater RV, the parks that have those rules are the ones that you can't afford anyway. So I mean, really, they're the snooties. They're not the fun parks.
Yeah,
There's
and
so
there's
many
not that
better
many of
places to
them.
stay.
Yeah.
It is the most
Never
expensive
had
parks
trouble.
generally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and usually they have
Common.
the word resort in them. But a lot of them they exempt. I mean, we've pulled into some that have the rule, and then they don't even ask. They don't even look.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
something they put on there to have the right to kick you out if your RV.
In
Right.
Yeah.
only once in 4.5 years have we had anybody raise an eyebrow about the age of our rig.
Yeah, and it wasn't a problem then.
Right.
So the next question is, how often do we have meetups like this I'm talking about? Did you
We
just
did
happen
one
to find each other at a campsite, or was this planned? This was planned. We've been talking about this since we parted ways in Vancouver.
Yes.
We didn't specifically cross the country to connect, but we knew we were going to be in the same
We
part of
kept
the
in
world.
touch.
Yeah.
Once you meet people on the road and the people you want to connect with, make an effort to establish some sort of communication. A lot of us carry RVer contact cards.
And find some sort of way to keep track of their locations too. Just pass
Like
them.
our village.
That's what our village was invented for. So you can have your group of friends on our village, and you'll see where they're physically at. And you're like, oh, hey, these friends are going to be in Arizona. I am too. Maybe I'll drop them a message and I could hook up with them. Or we actually use the Apple Friend Finder app, so that just very passively, I've got a bunch of really close friends that, like, oh, they're in the same state as me. Maybe I should drop them a note and say, let's get together.
We've seen them spying on us.
Yeah, we spy on them. But find ways to keep in touch with the people, because you're going to be spread across the country. We have literally sometimes seen some of our dearest friends driving by us on the interstate as we're passing by because we weren't keeping in touch, and that's the saddest thing.
We've done the exact same thing.
Uh-huh.
We were heading north-south as friends of ours were heading east-west, and we crossed in Indiana at a Cracker Barrel for lunch. We spent
parted
2
ways.
hours, and we parted ways for the next 6 months.
Yes. Yep.
And sometimes we just get on Twitter, "Hi Kevin, we saw you passing by." But keep in touch with the people that you know, whether it's social media, whether you're on Facebook, you have Facebook pages, whether you're blogging, you're on Our Village. Find ways to stay in touch with the people that you care
it's
about.
become really easy now.
Yeah.
And the close friends, I mean, we